What's up, everyone? Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to Stack Collector, where we are here for all of you to try to protect you from what's out there as well as educate. I'm joined by my co-host, Frostbyte. Say hi, Frostbyte.
Hi, Frostbyte.
I knew you were going to do that.
How's it going, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here today.
I think we have a really good program for all of you today, and I hope you all enjoy it. If you don't, hit the like button anyway. But if you can, please hit the like button, not only for this live stream, but everything that I make and everything that Frosty makes. We're working really hard to try to help all of you, protect all of you. So that's the main purpose of our live stream today. So,
indeed, it's all about the community.
It is. So I got a question for you.
Yeah, fire away.
I've been hearing something about the Lincoln cent coming to an end. Have you heard anything about that?
It's been in the news lately.
In the news?
Yeah, so the United States Mint, Tiger, if you will share the screen.
Got it.
Yesterday, November 12th, the day after Veterans Day, there was this story that dropped, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, the cent is done. The cent is done. The cent is done." That is partially true, but it is not the whole story. And I've had a lot of people saying, "Hey, you guys, is this true? Like, is the cent gone?" Well, if you go to the source, and it's always best to go to the source, stay away from the news agencies, go to the source and look at what they said. And basically what they're telling you here is that the circulation production, it's right here. The circulation production has ceased. However, just one sentence later, it tells you that they're going to continue to produce the numismatic versions of the penny in limited quantities for historical and collector purposes. So is the cent really gone? No. Matter of fact, it's not even going to go away from our monetary system. It even says so on this article. So get over a little bit of the media hype about the cent is done. Yes, they may not be making any more, but if estimates are right, there's only 300 billion cents still out there. And that's way more than enough to produce commerce. So is the cent going to be gone? No. Should you spend money on 2005 cents because they're going to be ultra rare? No, because everybody and their brother's keeping them. So stay away from FOMO. Don't buy into the hype. Is it historical? Yes, it absolutely is. If you want to keep something, because by all means do it, but you're not going to be rich. If you want to know more, we can talk about it another time. But I wanted to make sure there's a lot of comments about this, and I wanted to dispel the myths, tell it how it is, and hope that helps. So what are your thoughts about this, Tiger?
So what are you trying to tell me? You want me to give you a penny for my thoughts?
But boom.
Not that worried about it. Not only because of the numbers that you presented, but I typically just don't carry a lot of coins, especially clad coins, or even just copper coins, or what came after the copper pennies. Pennies were never a big thing for me. Although I do have to admit, when I visited Ringmaster Ray, his large cent collection was really awesome. So, thought about maybe trying to do that, but got too many irons in the fire for me to get into the cent collection. Although I do have a few in my teaching box for my grandsons.
Well, again, to each their own. Everybody's going to collect whatever it is that they want to collect. But the purpose here is, and you'll see this in the stuff that we're going to present on stacking and the topic for today, but say no to FOMO. Okay. Hashtag no to FOMO. Okay. You're not going to make a lot of money with the 2025 Lincoln Cent. It's not going to be ultra rare. There's already a billion plus of them that have been minted. They're going to continue these in proof sets, in mint sets. They might do special runs. You're going to see it in the semi-quincentennial. So again, stay away from the FOMO. Careful of the stuff that you listen to. Pennies are still going to be around for a while. It's just the U.S. Mint is no longer making circulation strikes. That's it. So that's all it is.
Understood. Do you know when they're going to make the quincentennial ones, that they're going to just make clad sets, or if they're going to actually put some silver in the sets, or that's not been discussed?
What do you mean by silver in the sets?
You know, like the dime and the $50 and the quarter and.
Oh yeah, they do silver sets every year. So you're going to see a number of commemoratives. We've showed those commemoratives. We've showed the actual half, quarter, nickel, dime, penny. We've shown all of those designs. We've shown some of the gold designs. You've seen that in the stream we did last weekend, where we talked about the commemorative gold dollars, the 5 that are going to be the 5 types, honoring coins of the numismatic history of the U.S. and then their modern take, you know, the eagle ass picture and some of those other ones that so many people loved. So they've got some cool designs. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and they have a lot of plans for it. So yeah, they'll be still making stuff in silver. They'll still be doing commemorative stuff. There's still going to be mint sets and type sets and proof sets and all that kind of goofy stuff. So yeah, it's going to be around. The penny's not going to go anywhere. And if you think penny values are going to go up because of this, they might, but it's all FOMO. Hold on to your money. Don't fall into that trap of buying a bunch of stuff. I've watched some people talk about this stuff, and it's ludicrous. So just be smart about it.
That makes sense.
Speaking of being smart.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, then. Understood.
So, Tiger, do you know what smart is?
You want to try that again?
Do you know what smart is?
Yeah, what I am and what you are.
So, smart is it's a really good tool, an underutilized tool, I think, in a lot of places. And it's something that if you're trying to either, number one, get into stacking, know what you want. So this works for the brand new. I've never bought an ounce of anything in my life. I may have won a coin on a giveaway or something. I don't know what to do with it. I'm really trying to learn. This is a good plan for that level. And if you're a seasoned collector, a seasoned stacker, there are some strategies that we're going to talk about today that will help you. Many of you do these all the time. You may not think of it this way, and putting it together in a plan is going to be something that is really important. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and pull up that screen, and we'll talk about SMART goals. Now, when you're stacking SMART, SMART is an acronym. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound or time-based. Now, you might hear the R as something as make it realistic, but I'm not going to subscribe to that. And I think Tiger and I have talked enough about this to put the realistic with your actual goal, which is under achievable. So we're going to talk a little bit about this today, and we're going to kind of walk through this, explain to Tiger why we wanted to do this, why it would be good, explain to him how his stack is going. We walk through this process. And what Tiger realized is that he's doing a lot of these. He just didn't know he was doing them. So let's go ahead and move. Say again?
I said I didn't know about the acronym. I just have an organizational mindset, uh, mainly from being a physician, but also from doing a lot of things in my lifetime, trying to salvage time and try to make sure that I was doing things and making sure that I kept a track so that if I forgot or if my wife needed something, we had something to remind us.
Well, I can tell you this, David Carlisle's tracking this, by the way, to go back to the first portion of our topic. The mint is confusing me. And I think it's confusing David because he says the mint doesn't make sense anymore.
That's cute.
Nice. I see where you were going with that, David. I wanted to give you your props, by the way. Nice joke. So let's go ahead and dig into the S. So obviously, when you start stacking or collecting, and again, I have one of these specifically for the collector as well. These videos are going to be dropped immediately following Stack Collector. So if you want to go check out the stacking version, you can watch stacking version. If you want to go see the numismatic version, you can go see the numismatic version. They're totally different. One is the basic. That's kind of what you're seeing here. And the other one is actually looking at how you might implement the process. So go check those out afterwards. But what do you stack, Tiger? So what is your stack? What do you have in your stack?
Mostly silver and gold. I only bought a little bit of platinum and palladium just so that I could, force myself to watch the markets because I wouldn't watch it if I didn't have something. But it's almost nothing I have in platinum and palladium. I guess you consider I'm stacking some osmium, but that's mainly for my wife's earrings, so I don't really consider that part of the stack. However, it does make me watch the market a little bit. But mainly I'm the type of person that I don't want someone to drive me to a location because I won't remember how to get there. I have to drive myself. Subsequently, when I get an addition to the stack, it goes in my spreadsheet, and I run the spreadsheet to see where I'm going at with everything. And same thing.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a minute.
Okay.
Because it's a whole nother thing outside of specific. But we'll get to that in just a minute because we'll talk about your list and why you do what you do in just a second. Do you collect 90%?
I do.
What about copper?
Only when someone gives it to me as a gift.
What about crypto?
Well, there's no way to actually quite stack it. I used to own crypto, did it for a year as an experiment, and only gained about $99. It was too volatile. I will tell you that if you're going to go down that road, I've just recently purchased some basic beginning stocks in a junior miner, but I also had some copper in Gold Mining Core. They pull copper ore out of the ground as well as gold. I mainly did that because Trump has put silver and gold on the critical list for our country. So I figured if it's going to go on the critical list, it's probably going to go up in value.
Agree. So the reason that I asked that question is because I want you, while we're talking about stacking and we're talking about precious metals, you can apply this to your diversification as well. So when you're looking at diversifying your portfolio, and again, that hedge against inflation, we'll be talking about that later. It's important to understand what it is you're trying to collect or what you're trying to stack. But when you talk about specific, we also have to look at, we're dealing with bullion, we're dealing with metals. So how are you going to authenticate that? So in specific, you also have the tools of the trade. So obviously we have the ping tester and the calipers and the scale, the magnet. Now the magnet test isn't what it used to be because counterfeits are getting better and better. And if you have tungsten or something like that, we've talked about that a lot. Of course, if you're looking at 1933 or earlier, you're looking at some numismatic items. So you'll want to make sure that you're looking at authenticity by using things like a loop. And then obviously, Tiger, you have talked about Sigma Analytics, XRF. You've talked about those things. So you're very well adapt to that. Where might people go to utilize one of these? Obviously, there's a lot of people that won't be able to buy one of these. So where would they find this resource?
If you don't have those devices, and a lot of us don't, I would say go to your local coin shop or to a pawn shop that you're friends with Maybe if you have a buddy, that type of stuff. But you also have to keep in mind that certain things will fail. For instance, the specific weight of tungsten is basically the same as the specific weight of gold. So you cannot rely on the specific gravity test or the weight or the measurements. You'll have slight nuances that are different. However, you put it into the sigma, the resistance to gold is 2.2 ohm meters times 10 to the 8th power, where it's like 5.2 for tungsten, so it will pick it up. If you have fake silver, the electrical resistance to silver is like 1.59, and copper is like 1.62, 1.63. So it will fail on the sigma, but you can pick it up by weight and measurement. You have to do both, because you could have the right weight, but the measurements will be wrong, or vice versa. So you got to know what you're dealing with, and if things are kind of quirky, go to another test. Now, specific gravity you can do at home, and like I said many times, just send me an email. I'll send you paper or an Excel spreadsheet to help you do that test at home. But you can do it with measurements. You can do it with calipers. Make sure that you have yourself a good scale, and it will fail on a slide test, because copper has also got diamagnetic properties almost to the same value as silver, so you can't rely on that test. You got to know the strengths and the weaknesses of the test you're using, and they have more than one way to do it.
And one thing about the slides, if you don't have an authentic coin to compare it against, or an authentic round to compare it against, how do you know if the speed is right? So there's other things to consider when you're looking at the multiple tools. The key thing on this slide is to cultivate multiple options and know what you should be using to test your stuff.
That's true. I'm not good at numismatics, so when I don't know what I'm up against. Oh, Frostbyte, thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate
Absolutely. Yeah, of course.
it.
Choo-choo, perhaps. All right. So the next one is going to be, when you're looking at specific, this is finding your network. This is finding people who you're going to be buying from, finding those trusted sources, finding those people in the community that you're going to be able to ask questions to, get information from. And so where are you going to buy it, right? Making sure you have trusted, reliable sources is extremely important. You can buy in person at a shop, at a pawn shop, at a bullion shop. You can buy online at a reputable dealer. You can buy in auctions. So cultivating a good series of resources is part of your S of being specific. So all of those things are things that you should get together prior to making your purchases, right? Really trying to get those basics understood, because this is what's going to make you a smart stacker. But when you get all of those things together and you feel good about it, you've done your research, you know what spot is, you know how to get to Kitco, you're going to one of the bullion dealers, or you found your online sources, you come here to Stack Collector, you go to Tiger or my channel, whatever it might be. Then you need to start looking at, how am I going to track the elements that I'm buying? Now, this is where I want to defer straight to Tiger, and I want him to talk about his spreadsheet and how he manages this, because this is one of those pieces that Tiger does immaculately that he should be able to explain to everybody.
Well, it all started with me realizing that I was stacking, and I was getting past my first Ziploc baggie, which was easy. You just pull it out, look at it, you know what you got. Then the second Ziploc bag, then the third, and I was like, oh, this is starting to get a little more complicated. So I started, being not the best computer person in the world, started writing it out every night whenever I would do something, because I'd buy something at Chevella's every day. And I'd just do it all by hand, and spent more and more time as the night went on, until my wife got me into Excel. And then I started learning how to work Excel and put it in there so it would do the calculations for me. So what I would do with my constitutional, as I got into a different computer program online, I called junk silver melt, and it'd pop up. I put all the coins that I have in there, and it would do that, and it would give me my weight and my estimation of price. And then I just manually add those into the regular spreadsheet because I didn't know how to cross-reference them. But I would put it in different categories. I would have my government coins, then rolling into rounds and bars, and then I went into things that like poured silver that I got from different people, including what I made myself. So it would all add up, and when the subcategories would be finalized, it would immediately pop into the major categories, and it'd give me my breakdown in ounces and in base by spot price what I had. Same thing with gold, and then I would have a percentage that was going on. How much percent in fiat dollars I had in gold, and how much in silver, how much weight I had in gold and silver, and also what was my silver to gold ratio that I had in stack. And I just added what I would do, being not a computer person, is I would have a printout and then handwrite what I wanted in there and what I wanted to take out. And then when it was all done, just transpose all the information into the spreadsheet, and then just print it out, 2 copies, one for the permanent copy and one for the next working copy. So that's how I kept it in line, including the fact that I'm not the best computer person in the world. I had the working copy that I could write on and make my mistakes on. And have I made mistakes? Probably have, because I'm human, but it's probably as accurate as anybody else's. So that's what I do when I start measuring it all.
So I want to kind of break down now. You guys, Tiger goes deep. I mean, it's more than just his stack. Like, he really understands the breakdown and looking at how's he budgeting stuff, where's the allocation of his stuff going to. He's done all of these explicitly well. This is something that's really hard, and KTM said something: start your spreadsheets early. It's really hard to catch up, and I can't state that early enough. This is something that it's very, very hard to do when you are, 200-300 ounces in. He does include spot price empty stacker, and he also includes the amount that he spent on that piece, to give him an idea of what he spent in relation to that. He does that individually, but he also does that off of his basically his silver to gold, or his what the hell am I thinking of?
Spreadsheet?
No, well, no, your dollar per average, your cost per dollar, your cost per ounce.
Basically,
Right?
when I first started, I bought from American Hartford Gold, and I'll always tell everyone, stay away from them. They'll rob you blind. Anytime that they have to have a celebrity saying that this is the only place I'd buy, blah, 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 run like hell. But I got taken advantage of by American Hartford Gold, as well as anybody else who deals with them. And I was in the 70%. And then I found Money Metals Exchange on my email. And you know how the internet just kind of tracks you. And I started realizing how much I got taken advantage of. Started dealing with Money Metal, then APMEX, and others and others. And early on, I was in the 70%. I was keeping 70% of my fiat money in the metals. And I started learning how to buy smarter, and the percentages got better, but also the spot prices for silver and gold got better. Now, 4 years into the whole thing, my percentage is a whole lot better because spot price is a whole lot better, and it's overcome the losses I made, especially initially. So I can actually see how much I spent in fiat dollars, how much I got by spot price. Then I do a division of it, and I get my percentage of how much ahead or how much behind I used to be, but how much ahead I am.
And see, this allows him to do a couple things. And here you'll see on my screen budget. And a lot of people are like, hey, Frosty, you're stacking and a numismatic channel. Why are you guys talking about budget? How do you buy precious metals if you don't know how much money you got? And so it's a really basic,
Tell 'em to Bill Frosty.
yeah, but it's a really basic question.
Yeah, that's true.
These are things that a lot of people don't think about. And folks, I understand this, but don't go into debt to stack and don't go into debt to collect. It will cost you more in the long term, and you'll lose all of those things that you're talking about when we get to the R, the relevant. You'll lose that power over the metal, and it controls you, and you're in no better position. So really understand budgeting. And again, Tiger and I spend a lot of time on social media. We talk a lot in person, we talk a lot online. And one thing that him and I have to do, not only within stacking, but within our personal lives, is balance that social life, work life balance, right? That spiritual, that economic, the financial, the friendships, the spouses, the kids, all that stuff has to be balanced. When you first get into stacking, when you first get into collecting, it's really easy to just put everything into it. But remember that when you're looking at this, you have to set your goals, and those goals have to be achievable. Now, this is where the goal itself comes in. This is the actual place where you'll create the goal. And most people know about this. It's not a big deal. And this is where I said at the very beginning, say no to FOMO, because FOMO here, there's no place for emotion in this. A lot of people, and when you're talking about knowing your resources, knowing your tests, if you take all the logic and you put it up front and you really understand what it is that you're doing, it automatically will help you lead towards making smarter decisions. If you balance a budget and you have a limited capability, then you'll also understand how much you'll be able to spend on something, and it'll tell you whether or not it's important or not. And it'll also help you make better decisions. So this is where I put realistic. Now, R comes relevant, but I move that realistic into here because you need to be real with yourself. You need to be real with your situation, real with your finances, real with your significant other. And this is where you need to share realistically share with your families what it is you're doing and why you're stacking, what your goals are. Having this is probably something everybody does, but they don't realize that they do it. So, Tiger, do you have goals?
Oh, yeah. My original goal was to have enough metals that would match my after-tax money to make it through 1 year. And then my second goal was to double it. The third goal was to triple it, and so forth and so on. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to make it simple. Like someone had mentioned earlier, MT Stacker, do I include the spot price? That is what I include. Okay. I include the spot price because you can rely on that being a benchmark.
Right.
It's kind of hard to estimate if you're going to get above or below spot, what your profit, what your loss is. You can't tell the future. So I use a spot as a benchmark. That's how much I know I have. And so if I had to sell everything at spot, I know basically what I have. But
And that's where your sheet comes in handy, because that's your baseline, folks. That's how you're going to determine success, right? That sheet's extremely important. How are you meeting your goals? It's one thing to just stack blindly, but how are you meeting your goals? And so that's where that measurement, that's where that spreadsheet really comes into play.
Exactly. And you would do if you had stocks, you would be going on to whatever site, Charles Schwab, Robinhood. You'd be looking to see what you got and how it pans out. Now they do that for you, but when you're stacking yourself, you got to do it for yourself. So the other thing that I do is I do include the current retail price, which gives me the GSR. I do a regular GSR. I do a GSR based on Gold Eagle versus Silver Eagle. And for fun, I do a GSR where I do gold buffalo against the silver buffalo, which is usually closer to the regular GSR. And, it kind of gives you an idea where things are going. Um, I run a lot of comparisons, not only GSR and what I just mentioned, not only spot price versus how much I've spent, but I also run percentages of my silver to gold ratio of what I own physically, and then how much it breaks down percentage wise based upon the metals. Do I have a 50-50% of the silver and gold to the total price on spot? If I'm heavier on one than the other, do I want to move over to the other? No
So
matter
now
what.
you're getting into something. I want you to stop there for just a minute, because what you're saying is perfect for what comes after T.
Okay.
Can you
So
hold that for just a minute? Because
kind of
you're giving some great stuff. It's just too early.
I just sort of segued into it.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. So once you set your goals, obviously what you need to do next is you need to understand the relevance of those goals. Now, this is one of those things that every one of you think about, but you probably have never written it down somewhere. Okay. What's up, THS? Good to see you. Here's where you get to really determine where your passion is. Is your passion looking at fiat, where we're at, watching the dollar plummet, and the value of everything you work so hard for just continues to diminish? Are you trying to combat that wild animal that is inflation? Are you trying to rein that in? You're trying to hedge against that by investing in things like the precious metals, or maybe getting into some of your bigger metals, right? Or is it family based? Is it, Tiger and I have talked a lot about this. I think you guys know he's a very proud grandfather and he does a lot of stuff for his grandkids, but he also wants to pass on information, not just because he wants to send a financial legacy to his family, but he also wants to send an informational legacy to his family. So is that your reason? Or is it just securing the wealth for your future generation? What is your relevance? Now, Tiger and I've talked about this a lot. We have pretty much the same exact thing here. What is your relevance? What is the thing that drives you?
Well, a large part of it is what you just said. I want to, if we run into SHTF, I want to be able to survive it. I've already explained a couple times that I've run into personal SHTF, and if this would have happened to me 5 years ago, I'd have been SOL. So having this set up in place allowed me, when I had recovering from sepsis, to not have to worry about paying the bills. By the way, I want to say thank you to CheckStacker for the one gift membership. And it looks like it went to Chad Brookman. Congratulations. Make sure you say thank you to CheckStacker. He's a good guy. But basically, the other reason is I want to leave something behind. My wife is an excellent dog trainer and breeder. She and people who use her really love her work. But would she be able to survive on her own? Not unless she steps her game up in her dog business or gets another type of work. The next reason is my grandchildren. My grandchildren, I got 2 of them with 1 on the way. I want to be able to leave them information on what to do, because let's face it, gold and silver hasn't changed in 600 years, but governments' currencies have failed in all that time. How are you going to make it safe for them? People are people, governments are governments. Nothing changes. It just, the names change, but the scenarios don't. So I want to make sure that they have the ability to go watch my videos, learn from what I've experienced, and hopefully be able to say, wait a second, this is similar to what Gramps has said in one of his videos, and it's now happening again because history repeats itself. So how do you make it safe? And then also with what I have done twice now, I've done 2 videos on this on my death letter to let them know, hey, there's the will, but once the will has said what it said, how do you deal with it?
That's a perfect segue into this next one. Now, this is one of those, Tiger, that a lot of people get wrong. There's a difference between time-based and time-bound. Time-based is, I want to collect 100 ounces of silver in 6 months, 1 year. That's a time-based goal. That I want to collect 200 pounds of copper in the next 5 years. I want to stack 1 ounce of gold in 2026. Those are time-based goals. Time-bound goals, which are the ones that I've included here, are those ones that it's bound to. Your last will, you mentioned that. Your death letter.
Mm-hmm.
Are you building a trust fund? Do you have an attorney? Do you have a financial advisor? How are you separating your portfolio? How much are you dedicating to family, paying off bills? How much are you setting aside for that nest egg? How much are you putting away for burial costs and funerals and taxes and things of that nature? All of that has to be included in the time bound, because if you don't take care of those, your stack may end up somewhere you don't want it to end up, in probate, property of the state, confiscated because of state or local laws. There's a number of issues here. So time bound is way more critical than time based. Now, time based is important. It's something you definitely want to do. And when you're creating a plan, you want to include those time based items. But the time bound ones are the ones that most people fail to finish. They fail to think about their last will and testament. Now, you talk about your death letter. I want to talk a little bit about that death letter, why that's so important, what that includes. But I also want to talk about things like trust funds. I want to talk about how do you manage those? How do you mitigate not putting one together if you don't have a last will? How are you setting yourself up for that financial security if you're not doing this step? It's one of the most crucial ones, and one that I believe I see is the biggest gap in our community. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, my trust is connected to the will. They're all bound together in 2 or 3 hidden places, one of which at my attorney's office. But in there, I started off by telling my wife how much I love her, and then rolled into the execution stating, I know you didn't listen to me while I was alive. Please read this letter and follow the instructions. It's true.
I know your wife.
You know her. You know it's true.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yes.
Mine doesn't listen to me either. It's okay.
Yeah,
we're all good.
They must be sisters.
It's Slavic women. That's what it is.
Yeah, you bet. So I put in there what these things are, what is constitutional, what's pure silver and the gold. Even put in there where to go to different things. So if she wanted to sell her osmium earrings, the name and contact information for Eon Everard. If it comes to things that is numismatic, to contact you, and you would either tell her where to go or something of that nature. If you're dealing with straight bullion and you need to go fast because you need the money like yesterday, go down to Chevella's. If you got time, contact these people and try to get the most bang for you for the metal. So and the letter started off with like maybe 3 or 4 pages. It's now 13 pages long. I'm on version number 8. So as I realize I've left another hole, I go back in, I do the same thing with the spreadsheet. I have a working copy. I write all over where the holes are, and then go in and edit it. Make sure that I have a more thorough piece of information for her to follow. So so that's kind of where we're at, and I quiz her all the time. Where's the death letter? Where's the death letter? And she'll sit there and think about it, and then she'll give me the right answer. I'm like, if you're under a stressful situation, we have a saying in aviation: the more stressful you are, the lower your IQ gets. So I try to make sure that she knows where it's at, where to go, what to do, and that's how I handle it. I try to make sure that if something happens, she knows exactly where things are and where to go and follow the instructions. After what I started the first one, 2022, we're now 3 years later. I've done 8 versions of it. I want to make sure that it makes it as knee-jerk of a reaction as possible without as much thought that she has to reinvent the wheel, because I invented the wheel for her.
So I want to go back one step. And the reason that this is so important is if you know your R, if you know what the relevance and why you do this, it becomes easy to identify the importance of those time-bound items that you need to complete. And so if you're really honest and you look back, and again, people are like, well, I'm poor, I don't have much, right? And so why would I need to do this? You'd be amazed at how much heartache it is to deal with some of these things. I've seen families tore apart because there weren't specific instructions on the community. They didn't have a person to take care of the will. They didn't have somebody to act as that mediator or that moderator in times of this situation. I've seen families get cutthroat. And so having these things in place, having these protections in place that alleviate that are extremely important. And yes, you might have to spend a little bit of money to pay an attorney or to pay a finance person, because I can't do it for you. I'm not a finance person, and I can't provide you that financial advice. I can tell you good strategies to doing it, but you need to have those people in your life. And we're going to get why that's so important. But I wanted to go through what Tiger's done. See, Tiger hasn't done SMART as a process improvement strategy. He hasn't done this as a documentation strategy. He's never put the whole thing together in one lump sum. He's done all of it together. But what Tiger does very well is what I consider the second most important part of this. Now, the SMART isn't the first important part. It's the third piece in this. Evaluating your goals is something that you must do, especially when you win. See, when you win, you take you take reflection, you look back and say, what did I do? Now, Tiger, you and I have YouTube channels. Obviously, we're here, right? When we see a video, how many times do we look at the analytics and say, what was the thumbnail? What was the title? What were the colors? What did we talk about? How was the engagement? What was the general sentiment of the people in the live stream or in the video? What were the comments? How many questions did we get? And then we adapt that into the next one. If it was good, or would we go, hey, let's not talk about that anymore. That was horrible. People were leaving. Let's just not address this in this area. That's evaluation. And as you build a goal, you should constantly come back through and evaluate it. You should constantly come back to that and assess, because when you win and you do that, you can win again. And if you do it again, you can win more, and you continue to win, and you get this snowball effect of success. Doesn't mean you won't have times where you fall backwards. Doesn't mean you won't have times where you won't succeed. Tiger and I have talked quite a bit. He's been quite open about the time that he had sepsis and he had to sell his stack. But it's because of his strategies and the success of that he was able to do that. And then when his personal SHTF came, he was covered. This is the importance of stacking smart. This is the importance of smart strategies. And we're going to talk about evaluation, but the one that I want to go to, and this is where I wanted you to come back in and talk more about this story, because you have teachers and I have teachers. You have mentors and I have mentors. And in all of that, there is one thing, and this is ultimately the most important thing. As a ex-military man, both Tiger and I, as husbands who desire to improve, as men of faith, people who look at where we are in life and what we choose to do when it comes to our stack or our finances, the most important thing is this: accountability. See, without accountability, who are we answering to? And Tiger and I have developed an extremely good friendship. And we did that long before we did the stack collector idea. But the whole important piece of stack collector isn't to be accountable for you. We're not your accountability partners. We're sources to help you find those people that you can be accountable to. See, Tiger Stacker and I are here to inform and educate and help and guide, but to build network, to build community. And we're accountable to each one of you to provide good, reliable information, to be people of integrity, to be people of tact. When we don't know, to say we don't know. My job is to make fun of Tiger. Tiger's job is to make fun of me. This is what we do.
Better at it.
Are. Yeah, well, you know, you have more people helping you. But the point to this is have accountability. Now, Tiger and I have each other as friends, but I'll tell you, when it comes to expertise, Tiger doesn't always come to me, and I don't have to be a sole source for this, because you want to cultivate multiple options. So Tiger, you were talking about your sheet. You were talking about evaluation. You were talking about these things. Tell me about some of your mentors. Tell me about some of those people that you go to, because when it comes to taxes, you have an accountant.
I do.
When it comes to planning, you have people that help you with that. When it comes to strategy or investment, you work with certain people. And obviously, when it comes to YouTube, you have people who are your consultants, your expertise. They talk about planning and stuff like that.
Yes.
You have smart people. Tell me a little bit about who those people are and how they've impacted your life.
Well, stacking really was me stumbling. I stumbled with stocks, stumbled a little bit with crypto, and then a memory of my grandfather teaching me about silver came to mind, and I started remembering things biblically as well as everything my grandfather taught me, plus lessons my dad taught me, where the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And I thought back then it was just a very upset father who wasn't making as much as other people were. Turns out he was right, and I was just a kid who didn't know any better. But these memories started flooding back really fast and hard. And then I talked to my friend Dan about, the memories, and he told me to go to All in One Pawn, which is Chevella's shop. And I learned a lot from her, learned a lot from Teresa. Then I got into American Hartford Gold, made my stumbles there. Found
we all do it. Don't beat yourself up over that.
I'm not, but I'm just teaching.
The importance of making mistakes. And I'm not saying this for you. I'm saying this for other people in the chat. The importance of making mistakes is we get to learn from them.
Yeah. So,
right. And
yeah. And that led to Money Metals, which led to AppMex and Lynette Zhang, which led to me watching a whole lot of YouTube, which then led to Yankee Stacking, Silver Dragons, and a bunch of others afterwards. And I started learning from them when I joined with Money Metals. When I joined Yankee Stacking's channel, I went in as top tier membership because him understanding macroeconomics, I learned a lot. And I got my monthly meetings with him, and I learned a whole lot more. I watched Lynette Zhang almost religiously for a very long time. My wife, who is trained as an accountant and a finance person, but never decided to use those degrees, was telling me how much I was learning. But as being a physician, you have to learn how to organize your thoughts to help your patient get better. Well, that only doesn't work well only in medicine, but those concepts works well also in aviation. Organization gives you the key to success. So knowing it worked well for medicine, it worked well for aviation. I started using them and documenting everything, like I said, originally by hand, or in my case, originally by paw, and then went ahead and started doing it electronically and learning that, wait a second, I can now do electronically stuff that would take me hours to do, and I only have to throw in the raw data. But then when I started doing YouTube, I was fumbling, as I do with most new things, and learning how to do stuff on my phone. And my wife got me involved with another program on the phone, and then that led to doing more things with the computer. And I was slowly learning, so I ended up turning to my brother-in-law to do more tech that I didn't know how to do, and I started learning more, and then our friendship started. You helped me with a lot of the stuff that I was stumbling with. The stumbling never stops; it just changes form. I don't.
Fact.
I don't stumble anymore to the cha-cha. I stumble more to the Watusi, and maybe later I'll start stumbling to the waltz. What's that?
Or the two-step. Never mind. That's personal. Yeah.
So basically, I've had to learn how to take my desire for organization. In fact, I even went back further. Let's go temporarily back further. When I was in junior high school, I knew I wanted to be one of three things: either a priest, an entertainer, or a physician. The hardest one to obtain would be the physician, because it took a lot more years of hard work, but the most reliable. Entertainment is too much based on politics, and being a priest, there's not a whole lot of money in that, but I loved it. I loved what I was learning as a young man. But all three of them had the same goal. They all would make someone feel better in some which way, whether medicine, entertaining, or religion. But to attain my goal, and mainly I was focused on being a doctor, to attain my goal, I needed to know where I was at. I was an okay student, but not that great. I knew where I needed to be. I needed to be as top-notch as I could get, and I wasn't anywhere near it over here. So I put a very big poster board up on the wall and recorded all my grades from all my report cards as I was going through it, so that I could see the progress, so that I wouldn't miss the boat, so to say. And that plan turned me into a long-range planner. Same thing with the spreadsheet. I took that skill that I learned as a teenager and started applying it to the spreadsheet, so I can see, where am I at? Where do I want to be? How do I get there? So that's kind of what developed my getting assistance along the way. Whether it's learning how to stack better, or in 8th grade, learning how to do algebra better. It was all I'm here. This is not good. It's okay, but not good. I want to be here. That's much better. How do I get there? And if I run into trouble, ask. Don't be afraid to ask. If you're afraid to ask, that's the worst time. You're going to keep making mistakes. So ask.
The only stupid question is the one not asked.
Certainly.
Whenever I do a lot of education and training for my job. And the one thing I tell people is like, there's no dumb question. And people are like, yes, there is. It's like, really, there's not. The dumb question is the one that you need to ask when you hear something, because 5 or 6 other people in that room might have that same question. Be bold, ask the question, and people might laugh at you, but that's an opportunity for you to learn. And there's something that you'll see when you start doing that. And that is when those questions become smarter, they become better, they become clearer, then what happens is people start to recognize you as somebody who's willing to look at, hey, what is this person saying? They always ask great questions. And you become somebody that people are looking at going, hey, you ask a lot of great questions. Where do your questions come from? That's how we become a community of people who talk, collaborators, right? That's what Tiger and I are on YouTube. We're collaborators. We work together. We do stacking and collecting. We bring together to help generate information for the community. But it's you that makes this happen. Yeah, we do some work to do it, but it's ultimately about you. This is about community, right? And Tiger's relevance is my relevance, which is family. It's making sure that we are the best caretakers that we can be, the best people, the best men that we can be. We have desirability. But in all of this, Tiger and I also hold each other accountable. Tiger talked about some of the people in his life, and I have people like Paula Bloom, Eric Beyer, Chuck Daughtry, Jack Young, agencies that have come alongside me. I have a lot of people in my realm that I not only hold accountability to, but I'm accountable for. And I expect people to call me out when I'm wrong, or expect people to do that, because I'm constantly learning. And it's important to make sure that you establish that and share that. I wanted Tiger to talk a little bit about his mentors, because again, everybody, doesn't matter which niche we're in, everybody knows a majority of the people that we're talking about. And guess what? They're in our networks. And by default, if you watch Tiger and I, they're in yours. Because when you ask us questions, we're going to go to the people who know. It's called deference to expertise. And both of us are okay with doing that.
Yeah.
That is being accountable. That is admitting when we don't have all the answers, but knowing the people and building your network. And this is extremely, oh yeah, Paula will let you know when you're wrong. Absolutely, kin of mine. There's no doubt there. But I wanted to, and I talked to Tiger very, very specifically about what I wanted to do here. And Tiger is a really good example of somebody who's successful in this, and he never truly generated a plan. If Tiger put a plan together, he would be even more sharp. And I would like to see him implement some of those elements and show people how he's done that, because he exemplifies measurable. He exemplifies time bound. He exemplifies the relevant nature to him. He's extremely smart with the specifics. I just want to see his goals. And I think that when Tiger could put his goals together and share them with a group of people, I think you guys could get a lot from him. So I wanted to do this, and I wanted to bring Tiger into this discussion on Stack Elector. One, because every one of you has the opportunity to be amazing in this hobby. It just takes a little bit of know-how and knowing some of the tools that are available to you. What else do you want to say, Tiger? What else is on your mind?
Well, I want to thank you for all the compliments. I'll make sure the $5 check is in the mail. So,
hey, is that going to come via Austin? Ba-dum bumps.
So basically, I do want to point out a couple things. First of which is, please make sure you hit the like. By the way, we're at 28 likes from what I last checked, now 29. So with the rising price of silver, I would like to get myself eventually to like silver quarter every 50 likes, but I don't mind giving away a silver dime at every 25, so we can do that. The other thing is that make sure you subscribe to Frostbyte. Subscribe here. Make sure you hit the bell notification. Leave a comment. That way you stay in and YouTube doesn't think you're about to take you out. We really want to build our channels. He's working on what, 7,000 right now?
I am, 6,700, somewhere in that area.
He's working at 7,000. I've got, last I checked, 2,260. I'd like to get myself up to 5, but I'll accept 3 for right now. So if you all can spread the word and help me get up to 3,000. But there's another thing I want to point out. Every year so far, my brother-in-law makes and releases a birthday video.
This is classic, folks.
And he did it again. I
Yeah.
put a post into my posts. It's going to be released tomorrow. It's about 3, maybe 4 minutes long. He did an awesome job again for a birthday video for me. And he does this in war-torn Ukraine, where they're getting bombed every day. In fact, I just found out the way get this, Frosty, the way he's doing the work.
Oh, I know. I was there last night when she told me.
He's got his computer attached to a car battery so that he can work on his computer when they don't have any power. Because there's times when the power grid shut down because of the bombs. Sometimes it's shut down because they're trying to use it sparingly. All of Ukraine's using what they got sparingly. And yet he's putting out some bang up things, including what's going to be released tomorrow. So I would really love if you all show up for the premiere. It's a birthday video musical that my brother-in-law did for the 3rd year in a row, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to give away a silver quarter to the person who can, you got to follow the instructions on the post, to the person who can identify the most amount of people in there. And if there's a tie, we'll use a name picker. So it's going to be released tomorrow. I'll leave it sit for a number of days, then we'll do a name picker and go from there. But feel free to come. It's a lot of fun. And please say thank you to my brother-in-law. He does a lot of work in a war-torn area and needs to be out of there, as well as the rest of my family. So that's one of the things that's coming on. I'm working on trying to get some more invitees to come on to talk about silver and gold, that whole thing. So what do you got going on?
So again, in 13 minutes, those 2 videos, if you are a collector and you want to know the specifics of how to do something like start a penny book, what kind of things should you have in mind? This is actually the SMART process in action, right? Setting a yearly goal. What am I going to do during that time frame? What pennies? How am I going to do it? How much time am I going to invest into it? How much money am I going to be spending for it? That's the actual implementation of the SMART process. And then the one that you've seen here today with a little bit more information is going to be the stacking version. This is the general overall view of it. They're both going to be released simultaneously. If you want to know more about the collecting piece, go watch the collecting one. If you want to find the details and bookmark the one for the stacking one, then again, go bookmark that one. But the important piece comes this weekend. As educators, Tiger and I talk about everything. We talk about mining. We talk about numismatics, pre-35 or pre-33, bullions, coins, round bars, crypto, stocks. We talk about just all sorts of aspects to wealth preservation. Now, we're not finance people. We don't give financial advice. We just talk about what we've done, mistakes we made, what we've done, what we've studied, what we've learned. We give you the information and it's yours to do whatever you want to do with. We're never going to consult you to do this. But in order for us to be honest with ourselves, I have to take aspects of things that I don't necessarily know much about. So on the 15th and the 22nd, I have a gentleman by the name of Hercules, fourth generation Hercules, by the way, who is going to come specifically and talk about crypto. Now, this is informational only. It's not a sales call. It's not to bash collectors or stackers. It's purely informational. We're going to talk about understanding it, what its history is, a little bit about the gentleman who's going to be speaking. You guys know Azure Blue. He's connected me with this guy, very smart. I have a couple conversations with him, and he is extremely adept at smart of doing this. But we're going to do 2 sessions. So we're going to do one just talking about it, answering questions. And then the next one is going to be about, if you're interested, how might you go about doing it? What kind of tools do you need to look at? So on and so forth, to really make sure that people have a good strategy and a good understanding of what it is that crypto could do for you. Now, it may be something you're interested in. It may not be. But again, to each their own. But to ensure that Tiger and I look at all aspects of things, we're going to make sure that we look at that element. And so you'll be seeing that on my channel, the live stream this weekend, both Saturdays, the 22nd and the 15th. OC Stacker said, make sure you think long and hard before you subscribe. David Carlisle. Yeah, and I told him the same thing. He's been thinking about it. I told him I think that's why I smell smoke. But again, you guys, make sure you're subscribing to both channels. Tiger's put a lot of work into doing this. And again, this is about the community. You there? Oh, he said he had to step away real quick. So do you guys have any questions about smart? Are there any comments? Did you guys enjoy this? Is this something you want to know more about? Obviously, when we talk about numismatics on my channel, we'll talk about smart stacking on his. But, oh, see, are you saying that I should unsub? You guys are going the wrong direction now. No.
He always goes the wrong way.
No. We'll leave that one alone. But again, so let us know. And if you guys enjoy something, make sure you're commenting. Make sure you're putting down there. And the best thing that you can do for this, support the channel and share these items out. That's really important.
By the way,
Tiger, are you? Tiger's European. He's teasing.
In my case, I'm mostly European. I'm a little bit of mixed blood. My mom was Heinz 57. My dad was Serbian. So I kind of got a little mixture of it all. Then I went ahead and married a Ukrainian girl. So go figure. I know nothing.
Colonel Schultz, yeah, Major Schultz.
Sergeant Schultz. I forget.
Is it Private Schultz?
No, it's Colonel.
No, Sergeant Schultz.
It's Sergeant Schultz.
Sergeant Schultz, yeah.
Sergeant Schultz.
Hilarious. Love it. All right, folks. Well, hey, that's all I have for you today. Tiger, you want to wrap up with the niceties and then the links to your video, and I'll drop the links to mine.
Well, the setup was private because remember we had trouble with the picture, putting it in the post. So I had to give it the URL. I didn't want it to be released before it's ready to be released. But if you go to the post, you'll see what the picture looks like. Please come and see you as soon as I'm going to set it up for a half an hour for everyone to come and see. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, oh, we didn't do the wheel. Let me get the participants. Let me do that real fast and refresh the screen. I'm at 33. So the winner will get a silver dime. Get the participants. Setting up the wheel right now, so you might want to go ahead and put something into the chat pretty quickly. And then we'll go ahead and say our goodbyes to everyone. Come on. There we go. Get back over to
MR is claiming they're going to be the winner. Oh, MR, we've got to pitch something to you, by the way.
Yeah, MR, send an email and we'll try to get in touch with you.
Yeah, because the muse has struck.
Not only that, MR is one of the big ones who's always wanted me to put out the next rigged video. It's in production. It's going to be a while because although I still will sometimes do rigged, this will be possibly the finale to the original series, but I'll still do a little bit here and there, depending on what Yankee does to prompt me to get me all riled up again. But let me go ahead and get the participants in here, bring up the wheel. Where's my wheel? Here's my wheel.
And it may or may not include a certain professor.
Yeah, so MR, I'm going to have to ask you something, plus a few other people that have participated. So there you go. Let's get to the wheel. Entire screen. Okay, this one, share. And we'll get the names out of here.
Absolutely, Barbara. Again, this is about community. That's what, without formatting.
I appreciate that, Barbara. Barbara has won a lot over the last number of live streams. Okay, so instead of me taking all these members and participants and whatever else is in there, if it shows up, we'll just go with the next one. So
do me a favor, hit sort.
Sort. Hold on. Sort.
And then now you can just select all the members and delete it.
I didn't know that existed.
Ta-da! Look at how nice that was.
That's nice. So let's see if Baba Wawa wins again. She's won so many. Okay, so once again, if it shows up with my name, I'll double the win. Okay, here we go. Oh, hold on. Turn it down before Clark Kent starts complaining.
That's me, by the way.
There we go.
Oh, look at this. So I don't know if you guys have been following the news, but this is what happens when you give somebody who can't read English a CDL. Congratulations, Jackknife.
Jackknife, make sure that you go ahead and send me a claiming email. Send it to thetigerstacker@gmail.com. If one of the mods would put in the email for me, thetigerstacker@gmail.com. And Frosty, if you'll put your email in so that MR can reach both of us. So, congratulations. Make sure that you do that within 48 hours, please, because I got a lot of projects I have to do, including for my career. So make sure that you get it in 48 hours. Otherwise, you're going to lose the chance to get it. And, that type of thing. Chuck, I also want to get a hold of you too. So just reach out to me. Okay. So I've covered everything.
All right, folks. Well, hey, the two premieres are going to drop simultaneously. So choose one, go see it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll talk more about this. And then we'll see you. Oh, matter of fact, let's do something while we have here.
Okay.
Monday or Friday night, which one works better for all you all? We're going to be shifting from Thursday due to some family dynamic issues that we have.
I'm thinking Monday. Everybody put a day of the weekend that you prefer for week of Thanksgiving.
We're not going to be able to make everybody happy, but we're trying to set it up to where we can do this. OC Stacker says Monday. I'm good with Monday. Well, it looks like Mondays are popping in. So
Yeah, Monday.
we'll talk about that. We'll reschedule, but I think we're going to be shifting these towards Mondays. Thursdays are just too hard. I got my daughter in college and I have to pick her up, and that happens at the same time we normally start. So we will be doing a shift. We'll let you guys know. It'll be both our community pages, and that should be good.
Sounds good.
All right, folks.
Good night, everyone.
Take care.